Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome to your F1 comments for the 2020 British Grand Prix, and what a race that was. But this is the series where we look at the top, the best, and the worst comments underneath the official Formula 1 highlight videos, and just have a little discussion about the Grand Prix. And I'm sure there's going to be some great top comments because, well, that was a very explosive Grand Prix. See what I did there? That was, yeah, you know, you got it. We're going to dive straight into the first comment, the British Grand Prix 2020 Drive Till the Tyres Explode Challenge, which is literally what it was. I got very big deja vu flashbacks to 2013 when the Pirelli tyres were exploding. Then it was a bit of a different reason, but that definitely brought back some memories. I was actually at that 2013 Grand Prix. I was sat at Luffield and I saw down the straight Hamilton's rear tyre exploding. And as soon as we saw Hamilton's front left gone, I was like, oh, it's the same sort of vibe there. But yeah, let's talk about that a little bit briefly before we get into some more comments. With those tyre explosions, did create a lot of chaos, let's admit. Up until lap 50 or 51, it wasn't the most thrilling Grand Prix. At one point we saw more safety car laps than actual racing laps, so it was it was the definition of a slow burner. I think that was the slowest of burns ever. But at the end of the slow burn line, then there's just a massive bit of TNT at the end as everyone's tyres went pop. Sainz had a puncher at the end. Bottas was the first major player, of course, and he had to pit. Verstappen then pits kind of in reaction to him, but also some safety reasons for the Red Bull team. And obviously in hindsight, could he have gone on? Could he have got the race win, as Hamilton had a puncher and had to go for that 2/3 of the last lap on 3 wheels? And I think for a lot of people, I think that's actually the first race winner that crossed the line on 3 wheels. We've seen plenty of drivers drive on 3 wheels before and get back to the pit lane and retire and whatnot, but I think the first man to ever win a Formula 1 Grand Prix on 3 wheels on his wagon. Sensational stuff. But obviously that's another race win for Hamilton, and so people were quick to make jokes on the luck and the kind of, you know, way that just occurs in Formula 1 right now with Hamilton just winning everything pretty much. And we've got a top comment here, 1.7k likes, very agreeable for a lot of people. Next race, Hamilton wakes up in the morning with the trophy in his hand. He's just there in the motorhome, because I think all the drivers, most of the drivers, are staying in motorhomes or hotels very close or in the circuit area. So he just wakes up ready for Friday practice this week, obviously, for the 70th Grand Prix, which is the second race at Silverstone. He just wakes up and he's just got the trophy in his hand, like, oh, I've already got the gold trophy. Oh, sweet. That's actually a good point, though, with the trophy. The Silverstone's got that very unique and very iconic gold trophy that looks very, very prestigious compared to a lot of the trophies you get nowadays. But because it's a different Grand Prix, they've had to classify it as a different name. It's the 70th anniversary Grand Prix, technically, at Silverstone. Will there be a 70th anniversary trophy to make the difference? Or will it just be the same gold one? Because you can pretty much, unless they're not going to make a duplicate, I don't think, unless I'm wrong. So will they just let him keep that trophy and just be like, you know what, you probably are best bet to just keep the trophy for the second race weekend. Obviously, like I said, up until lap 50, not much was happening in the Grand Prix. There were a few little moves here and there in midfield, which we will get to, but because of that, pretty much most of these comments are all about the tyres, Hamilton, even his engineers' catchphrases. Bono was thrown in there. We've got Lewis Hamilton's dead tyres last words. Get in there, Lewis. Oh, Lord. That's, we didn't hear that. We didn't hear that this race weekend, to be fair, but that is, you know, 3 things are guaranteed in life. Death, taxes, and hearing "get in there, Lewis" at the end of an F1 Grand Prix, usually, if Hamilton's winning. Continuing on with the Bono theme, we've got Lewis said, "My tyres are gone," so many times that even his engineer doesn't believe him anymore, which I think was quite true. If you saw the clips, they actually stayed very, very calm on the radio, but yeah, I mean, the amount of times Lewis has complained about his front tyres going and looking a bit grained, the one time now that they pop and there's no massive kerfuffle on the radio, they both sounded so calm and supremely calm, actually, in that situation. And this is all while Hamilton is bowling along with a tyre flapping away, locks up, still makes the apex going to the chicane. He's just going, Verstappen, 6 seconds, okay, and that's it. And it's like, is this the last lap? They sounded so unbelievably calm. It was really a testament to how maybe matured Hamilton's become as a driver and how that unit as a teamwork pair, him and Bono are, and what a good race engineer can do for you, of remaining that steady. You know, they're just not, you know, because I feel like Hamilton of old, if this was Hamilton back in 2013 when his tyre did explode at Silverstone again, or just Hamilton of old. He would have been on the radio, like, shouting at the team, like, what's gone on? How could you let me stay out here or whatnot? Why didn't we pit as soon as Bottas came in? But this was a Hamilton, cool and collected, just doing what he needs to do, rocking that car around the circuit, getting home, and fair play to Bono as well for keeping it so calm. But, yeah, I think at this point, yeah, he's cried wolf a fair few times, so he had it coming of not really caring too much about the tyre falling off. More jokes came in on Hamilton just being the unstoppable force in Formula 1. Next race, Hamilton carries Toto on his shoulders and runs around the track, and I'm sure he'll still bag a victory. Hockenheim, only rain can stop the Mercedes 1-2. Silverstone, hold my temperature. Obviously, the race needed spicing up. There was nothing happening to that point, and I do enjoy the fact that Silverstone is always quite harsh on the tyres, no matter what compound we've got, what year it is, what F1 have told Pirelli to make the tyres like. It seems Silverstone's temperatures, the fluctuations, the curves, whatnot, the high-speed nature always really pushes the teams to the limit. Next week, we apparently are going to get one step softer tyres. That's the plan for next week. But already now this morning, we've seen the reports that F1 might stop that change, which I, for one, am totally against. We need to stop being scared of 2 stops in Formula 1 now. Like, if they move it 1 step softer, it means every team will have to do a 2-stop next race to actually survive the Grand Prix, because it's apparently meant to be even hotter next weekend in the UK, in that part of the UK. So, you know, if it is hotter, it means the tyre will be even higher, the tyre grading will be higher, so they're going to have to do a 2-stop. I hate seeing these reports saying they're going to look to change, maybe not do that change. When did we become so scared of a 2-stop? You know, a 2-stop is a great race. It means there's a different flow of strategy. The teams have become so stubborn about doing a 1-stop because the data tells them the 1-stop's the best way to go, because ever since 2017, you know, F1 and the drivers told Pirelli to stop making tyres with a massive cliff jump off at the end of the stints, and because of that, the 1-stop became the ideal strategy, because if you can nurse your tyre from lap 1, because Lando Norris said in a post-race interview at this race that from lap 1, they're unable to push as hard as they want on that opening lap, because they know they have to nurse the tyre the entire time to get it to that 1-stop, and it's because there's a lack of a massive cliff anymore that we used to have with Pirellis of 2011 to 2016. Without that cliff, they're all trying to nurse the tyre to the 1-stop, because that's the idealistic strategy, essentially, the numbers are all telling them. And then the minute that the tyre wear is just high enough to even stop that ideal strategy, they're like, no, let's stop this, safety precaution. No, just do a 2-stop, lads. Everyone, just do a 2-stop, and we'll get a banging race. Back to the jokes, though. Obviously, there's plenty of comparisons to what Hamilton's race ending was like. I liken it to Jeremy Clarkson going through and Robin around a corner, but we've got another comment. Hamilton's tyres blow, Verstappen's engineer, McQueen's blown a tyre, go, go, go. And that was also another common theme on Twitter as well. I've been saying it all video, and we got it again, confirmation. 95% of the race sleep, last 5. What the hell just happened? This was definitely a common theme template in the comments of going next race, and then what happens? We got next race. Hamilton blows all 4 tyres up, but manages to snowboard his car to victory. And, you know, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't, if you put some dishes underneath his tyres, he'd probably skate it around still, do quite well. Back to Bono and the tyres being gone. Bono, my tyre's gone. Bono, yeah, I've heard this before. Yeah, there's been rumours, you've said every race. I'm not buying it this time. And then this was the one time it happened. Moving on away from tyres exploding, Hamilton's insane win still. Like I said, there were still some great fights down the field. I want to point out Pierre Gasly, and this comment also points out, you've got to hand it to Pierre Gasly. What an amazing job he's done at the moment. He was overtaking Ferrari cars. He attacked Lance Stroll's Racing Point, which obviously they're massively underperforming. You know, Racing Point have gone from being the overachievers, doing more with what they have, to now they have a lot more. They have a 2019 Mercedes car, and they're really underperforming for what they should be doing. Of course, we had the situation where Checo was tested positive. Hulkenberg came in, which, by the way, is the most Hulkenberg thing ever to not even start the Grand Prix. He's meant to be replacing Checo for this race. But yeah, they underperformed, and Gasly and AlphaTauri able to attack not only Vettel, who is really struggling in the Ferrari once again. It went round the outside at Stowe, I think it was, and then again against Stroll in the same exact plays. Really punchy moves from Gasly, and I was very, very impressed. And, you know, obviously you guys know me, I do have a soft spot for Pierre Gasly, and time again he's proving that kind of same thing with the Red Bull car of, you know, Albon again had some struggles. Yes, he made his way through through for a great recovery after 2 pit stops he didn't really want to make. Obviously, after making contact at the start and then pitting on the safety car and whatnot, made a good recovery. I'm not doubting that, but it shows once again that Gasly really wasn't that bad, and it's the car. The car is just too highly strung to Verstappen, or either the car's just that bad and Verstappen's just doing that crazy of a job to drive through the issues of the car, or like I've said all along, I believe the car is too highly strung towards his driving edge style, and Gasly didn't get used to it. Albon's still trying to get used to it, maybe a little bit better than Gasly, but Gasly in a bit more of a comfortable environment, he's shown that he's still got this stuff to be a good driver. Continuing the theme of talking about drivers that weren't maybe in the limelight that race and weren't mentioned that much, we've got a comment when no one is talking about Ricciardo's P4 sad times, and you know what, it slipped on the radar. He got lucky, let's also admit, it wasn't like a stonking drive to P4, he got lucked into it with Sainz's retirement, but he was in a position to get the P4, of course, and he did well to actually be ahead of Norris at least, and keeping up with Sainz, keeping the pressure there, and to actually then get P4 on the road. Ocon, I think it was P6, wasn't it? So the Renaults got a massive haul of points, and they will be very happy versus Racing Point. They both beat Stroll. That's a massive, massive win for Renault, and Ricciardo, that will be a decent point haul for him. He'll be happy. Talking about drivers that weren't maybe mentioned that much, I mentioned just earlier, Vettel struggling with the car. I want to know, I do want to get your guys' opinions as well, and there weren't any joke, this week I was surprised. There weren't many jokes about Ferrari in the comments, obviously because they weren't really there, really, and also everyone's already just basically beaten them down to the ground, basically. But Vettel really struggled this race weekend. He had no Friday running pretty much, because in FP1 and FP2 he had major issues that stopped him doing major runs, so maybe that was also a massive factor of him not getting used to the car in race conditions. But you could kind of tell in interviews, if you read through articles of him talking about his race, that car, I think he needs a chassis swap or something, because something's up, because he is massively just unable to control the car. He talked about not being able to push the car, and every time he did, he would just have to save the rear end or save the front end or whatever mid-corner. That car just looks like a bit of a bucking bronco, which is what I like to liken the Red Bull to, but of course we've got a prancing horse, so bucking horse, I don't know, but, or prancing, well, not prancing horse, a jumping, gallivanting, out of control horse. But I feel like Vettel probably does need to look into a chassis swap just to try and maybe nip that possibility in the bud, because it seems, I don't know, just a bit mental that he's that far off. I will admit, he's not at his best anymore, but it's kind of crazy to think he's that far off what he once was. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap things up then for this week's Your F1 comments for the 2020 British Grand Prix. To be fair, a lot of the comments were just about the same thing, the tyres exploding, obviously, to be fair as well. And if we remove the last 3 laps, nothing actually happened in that Grand Prix that was really that noteworthy. So, to be fair, to get this much content out of the comment section of a race like that is actually a great thing. Without those 3 laps, I think this video probably wouldn't even happen, in terms of there wouldn't have been any top comments. There would have been all about just how boring the race was, basically. So if you guys did enjoy this video, then be sure to hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And like I said, get involved with that conversation I just had about Vettel, even Hamilton, the Pirelli tyres, the kind of 2-stop thing that I talked about. What are your thoughts on that? Should F1 keep that new step going into the next Grand Prix? I really am praying they do and don't revert back to the tyres we just had out of fear, because let's just get a 2-stop going, please. F1, I beg. But till then, hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. Goodbye.